The Space Wolves trace their roots to the 6th Legion of the Legiones Astartes, whose primarch was Leman Russ, the Wolf King. During the Great Crusade, before the Horus Heresy, the 6th Legion was known for its ferocity, its tribal barbarism, and its reputation as the Emperor's executioners. Russ himself had been found on the harsh death world of Fenris, raised among its wolf packs and its warrior clans. Fenris is a savage planet of ice, volcanoes, great worms, and fierce tribal humanity, and its culture deeply shaped the Legion. During the Great Crusade, the Space Wolves fought in many campaigns. Their tactics were brutal, aggressive, often shock assaults, favoring close combat, lightning raids, and feral brutality. Among their hidden or lesser-known forces were extremely dangerous elite warriors called Deathsworn. These warriors carried out particularly grim missions and carried weapons such as the arcane Ymiria-class stasis bombs, which could warp time around their targets. The Deathsworn reflected some of the darker, more secretive aspects of the Wolves' role, not just warriors, but executioners in a cosmic sense. As the Horus Heresy erupted, the civil war within the Imperium when Horus betrayed the Emperor, the Space Wolves remained loyal to the Emperor. In that conflict, they fought against traitor legions, including a tragic confrontation with the Thousand Sons, the legion of the sorcerer Primarch Magnus the Red. One of the most infamous episodes is the burning of Prospero, where the wolves attacked the Thousand Sons' homeworld in a massive and brutal purge. After Prospero, the wolves were assailed in space. They suffered an ambush by the Alpha Legion and were forced to retreat. At one point, they fled to the Alexis Nebula, only to be rescued later by the Dark Angels. Following these battles, and in the aftermath of the heresy, Russ was angered and disappointed that he had not been present at the Siege of Terra to help the Emperor. In his fury, he led a force into the Eye of Terror, purportedly in search of vengeance. Eventually, Leman Russ disappeared. The exact circumstances of his departure are unclear. What is recorded is that he vanished along with his Varagir bodyguards, with no confirmed destination. According to legend and tradition, he promised that he would return during a future cataclysmic age known as the Wolf Time. In his absence, the surviving Wolf Lords convened and elected Bjorn the Fell-Handed, a venerable dreadnought, as the first great wolf to lead what remained of the Legion. Following the heresy, the structures of the Astartes changed dramatically. The Second Founding divided many of the original legions into chapters, limiting their size to prevent absolute power and to guard against future corruption. The Space Wolves were deeply resistant to this. Rather than fragment into many small chapters, they largely retained their great companies, each led by a Wolf Lord, reflecting their tribal, warband-based culture. Indeed, their genetic legacy, the Canis Helix, the gene seed specific to the Space Wolves, proved remarkably unstable, making it difficult to find many successful successor chapters. One such attempt at a successor was the Wolf Brothers, a chapter founded after the heresy, but they did not last. The Wolf Brothers were given a homeworld named Cariol, also harsh and elemental like Fenris, and they were granted half of the Wolves' fleet and resources. But due to genetic instability, likely tied to the Canis Helix, and a curse that would later be called the Wolf Within, many of their number devolved into savage Wolfen, partially bestial space marines. Back on Fenris, the newly reformed Space Wolves chapter solidified its identity. They preserved much of their old Legion traditions, the sagas, the warrior culture, the use of runes, the longhouses, the moots, and the tribal assemblies. Their fortress monastery, the Fang, stood as a symbol of their feral heritage. The people of Fenris, the Fenrisians, had their own tribal society, led by Jarls. Every tribe had its skjald, bard or saga keeper, who preserved histories in oral songs. The Fenrisian language, Warkant, Vurgen, and a dialect of Low Gothic, Uvik, also remained in use among the wolves, especially in battle as a coded speech. Over the millennia, the Space Wolves accumulated many deeds and sagas, but they also built a reputation for being mistrustful of imperial authority beyond the battlefield. Their ferocity and independence often put them at odds with other arms of the Imperium. One of the most infamous internal conflicts in their later history is known as the Months of Shame. This occurred after the First War for Armageddon, 444 M41, when the wolves assisted in fighting a demonic and chaos-tainted uprising. The Inquisition, along with a contingent of Grey Knights, intervened in the aftermath to purge survivors and to contain knowledge of the uprising. But the Space Wolves refused to stand idly by when transports of refugees were to be hunted or destroyed. Tensions escalated, and at a parley in neutral space, System Haikaran, Inquisitorial forces betrayed the Wolves, opening fire on their ships. Despite heavy losses, Logan Grimnar, then Great Wolf, confronted those who betrayed them. In a dramatic act, he slew Grand Master Joros of the Grey Knights with his frost axe, then escaped with his remaining Wolfguard via teleport under heavy psychic pressure. The conflict devolved into months of cat-and-mouse engagements. The Wolves actively pursued Inquisitorial and Grey Knights forces. They attacked containment fleets. They defended transport ships. Eventually, after heavy losses on both sides, an uneasy truce was reached. The toll on the Wolves was deep. Many ships, serfs, and Astartes were lost. The Fang itself was heavily damaged. Although open war ended, the distrust between the Space Wolves and the Inquisition never fully healed. In the 41st millennium, the Space Wolves remain one of the most iconic and unique chapters of the Adeptus Astartes. Their lore, their rituals, and their identity are all deeply rooted in Fenrisian culture. They are not merely space marines, but warrior poets, raiders, rune singers, berserkers, and saga keepers. They continue to wait for Leman Russ. Every year, his place is laid at the feast table in the Fang, and his great drinking horn is filled in case he returns. The prophecy of the Wolftime remains a central part of their mythos. Many believe that in the galaxy's darkest hour, Russ will return to lead his sons in a final glorious struggle. Over time, some successor chapters have emerged more stably, despite past difficulties. According to some sources, in a later Ultima founding, new chapters of wolves appeared: Ice Fangs, Moon Eaters, and Wolfspear. These successors maintain psychic, cultural, and genetic ties to the parent chapter, bound by Fenrisian sagas and ancestry. In their present state, the Space Wolves are fierce defenders of the Imperium, yet outsiders often view them as unpredictable, tribal, and even heretical in their methods. Their wolf-like instincts guide them. They hunt in packs, they honor sagas, and they strike with overwhelming ferocity. Their wolf priests, rune scribes, and stormseers still draw on Fenrisian runic magic, not warp sorcery, to guide them. They are among the most beloved and sometimes reviled chapters, loyal to the Emperor, but always living on the edge of war, always listening for the howls on the horizon that might herald the return of their Wolf King.